Talk about Guardians. Some of you might have remembered from earlier video posts about how I always thought that raids should be something more closely related to the strikes and Nightfall than they are. That I think a lot of the struggle that people have with the raid, apart from, just not having the skills to do it, is the fact that the opening parts of the raid are pretty okay, but there's a lot of nuance and mechanics inside the raid, some bespoke encounters that throw players for the loop. And I know that a part of the gameplay in Destiny, especially, is the puzzle solving. But the way I've always felt that a raid should be is like the way I've always felt that Nightfalls should be. That you have the strike, like, say, for instance, the Glassway. So let's say we clear this room here on the Glassway. Afterwards, we're going to run along an ice ridge to the next room, which you can actually see from this room, believe it or not. This is like a classic RPG dungeon design. See, we came from down there, we came up this whole place, and now we're in this room, and then we're going to be able to go over this way, and we're fighting on that structure over there. So being able to see the next passage but not getting to it immediately is a way to prep the players to prepare for that dungeon. So for instance, here in the strike, we're going through this little area. Now, if this was a Nightfall, the Nightfall that I would design, over there would be a separate room that you could go into, a secret room maybe. And, well, a secret in the sense that during the strike, you see silhouettes behind the ice, moving around and stuff. So you're like, wow, is there a place back here we can go into? So you might burn some time in the strike trying to figure out how to get in there, then realize, oh, I can't get into it in the strike. But in the Nightfall, you can go into it. And there's like a little mini boss, a little side boss or something like that. And each room has an extra secret room next to it. Now, Raid Shadow Legends does this with their Doom Tower, which is kind of like their version of a trial for ESO or a raid for Destiny. And there are secret rooms that you go in there, and they have specific challenges. And this is what I always felt raids should be like in Destiny, is that you go through a strike, and you learn all the basic mechanics of the strike, and then you go through the Nightfall version of the strike, and it has these secret rooms, and these secret rooms have special conditions in it, like, only void weapons are going to deal damage, or only arc weapons will deal damage, or only melees will deal damage. I mean, that's the kind of shit that I would put into a game, and I'm sure players would hate me horribly for it, for restricting their options. But I'm an old school dungeon master, and I was always prone to stocking my dungeons with secret areas, and if the players wanted to venture off the map, so to speak, or off the trail into those secret areas, they had better be diversified enough to meet those challenges, otherwise they will just struggle and possibly die. And yes, I have had more than a few TPKs in the dungeons that I designed. But anyways, back to the point. So in the Nightfall version, there'd be these secret rooms, and they may have extra special mechanical challenges in them, or they might just be an extra boss that you can fight, or bespoke loot that comes from that particular strike. Like, for instance, I think this strike offers a sniper rifle when it's the Nightfall, so you would go to those secret rooms to get parts of the sniper rifle. So, like, say, for instance, you might only have time enough to do one pass of the Nightfall, and maybe only one secret room, because they would probably take some time to do. I would say kind of like a lost sector, like a legendary lost sector, so to speak. Oh, that would be actually better. These little passages in the strike connect to the nearby legendary lost sector version. So you do this like legendary lost sector, but you do a Nightfall version of the legendary lost sector with some restrictions on it, and this actually affords you better loot. So you got that going on. So, and then you get portions, or you can have like fragments of the loot. So you wouldn't have to necessarily, you wouldn't say for instance, there's 5 secret rooms in the strike. There are approximately 5 areas in each strike. So there would be 5 additional rooms that you would go into. And there would be like 3 fragments that you have to get. Like you have to get the barrel, the magazine, and then the chambers or something like that. So it would encourage you to come back into the strike. And maybe you won't do the first 2 secret rooms anymore, because now all you need to do is get the magazine and stuff like that. Just little things that you could do in there, kind of Zelda-esque kind of dungeon hunting. But that's kind of what it's supposed to be like. Now, I honestly think the constant back and forth bullshit that Bungie has us doing and all their activities is a lot of the fact that they're trying to emulate the old school dungeon designs for Japanese role playing games like Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy, but they're just missing the mark by not allowing players to go into God mode. And I think that's the one thing that really kind of turns me off when it comes to the raids, is that you spend all this time building up your character and becoming, massively powerful, and then you get to the raid and you're basically a peon again, and it's like, why would I want to do that? And I'm not in the weapon. I hate to say it. When I played Vault of Glass, the original, every single one of those weapons found a place for me in my arsenal. When I played Crota's End, I didn't use any of those weapons. I collected them because I was a collector still at that time, and I decided that it was good to have those around. And on rare occasions, they were useful only because they offered an elemental advantage in a particular activity, like a Nightfall. But by and large, I earned them and they sat in my vault doing nothing. Doing the very same thing that I often admonish, toy collectors and game collectors for. It's like, you got all this shit, but you're not doing anything with it. Why aren't you doing anything with it? This is like, it's not a painting, dude. It's a toy. It's a playing piece. Take it out and, use it. So, now, what about the raid version? Well, the raid version, like in this example with the Glassway, you end up, hello, why the fuck am I always the only one person standing around? I don't want to be the only one guy. Why? I don't understand this. Oh, Whiffy. Alright, we're gonna res you. Come on, are you guys AFK or something? What the fuck? I mean, I know it's past lunchtime. Maybe you need to fucking hit another rock star or something. I don't know. Anyway, we're done here. Okay, I'm not going to be playing with the bow anymore, so you guys are going to have to fucking do something creative other than eating metal. So, in the raid version, taking the Glassway. So you fight through the Nightfall version in the raid. You got those 5 secret rooms. Now, in the raid, you have to clear each of the rooms. In the Nightfall version, you can pick and choose the secret rooms you want to clear. But in the raid, you have to clear all 5 rooms. Otherwise, when you beat this boss, you don't unlock the raid boss. So in the raid, if you skip one of the rooms, or you don't complete it if you don't complete it with the restrictions, you complete it but not with the proper restrictions, you can come to this boss here and finish this boss and technically get it complete on the raid, but you won't get the final boss, which will afford you the actual, chase weaponry or armor that you're looking for. And I think that would be a fantastic structure to the raid. And not only would it allow people to, get familiar with the mechanics of the raids, so you don't have to worry about when you go LFGing for the raids. Do you know what you're doing? Have you watched any of the videos? You don't need to worry about that. All you have to worry about, and here's the thing, you can still get the first day challenge, because the secret rooms during the raid will have slightly different mechanics to them. Like, for instance, in the Nightfall version, there'll be secret rooms. Okay, but in the raid version, let's say, instead of having the special conditions being part of the Nightfall, the special conditions are part of the raid. And maybe they rotate, like once, like 4 times a month they might change, or maybe like twice a month they might change. You might, like, say, for instance, in the raid version of the Glassway, the secret room, which will, of course, be a legendary lost sector, all your equipment is locked, and you can't swap, okay? And then in another secret room, only melee weapons will work. So, like glaives and swords. And then in another room, it might be only primary weapons, so hand cannons, machine guns, submachine guns, stuff like that. And then in another room, it might be, only void abilities will work. But you'll get like a clue, that this is what you're going to need to do that stuff. There'll be like a Chekhov's gun or something like that laying around. Like you'll be in a sector, and like a little pop-up will come up on the screen, like it does in the raids, like, a void drinker is thirsty. So that might mean that maybe don't play with void or play with void. You have to find out. Fuck around and find out kind of situation. And then I think honestly, if I was going to design a game like Destiny, that's exactly what I would do when it comes to the strikes, the Nightfalls, and the raids. And if I had seasonal arenas, for fuck's sakes, dude, I wouldn't fucking have those arenas around after the fucking season. And if I did have them around after the season, any of the special bonuses that would have been earned during the season to make the battlegrounds go faster, I would definitely just auto include those. So, for instance, during heists, there would be no laser barriers. You just go through the map, and then the champion challenges shit. I don't know about that. I mean, those aren't so bad, but I would definitely not want to have my players hiking through their fucking strike for a third of their time. They're coming here to fucking do shit, you know. They come here to earn things and collect gear and stuff. I would definitely want to have my players having fun doing that. I may have been a pretty aggressive dungeon master, and I would design some truly hellacious, you know, dungeons and encounters for my players. But I was also very permissive when it came to special loot. It was not uncommon for my players before third level to have a single magical item that they could share between them, or that they could elect to have to one of them. And by fifth level, on average, you know, two players would have a magical item. And then, of course, by seventh level, which is about as far as we would ever actually go with a campaign, everybody would have magical items. And I only actually ever played with 2 to 3 players on average. So, you know, that wasn't hard to manage that power curve. And I don't understand why it's so difficult for Bungie to manage the power curve here in this game. I mean, they started off with a pretty good mechanic, and they just kind of let creep fucking take over, and it's just been really sad to watch happen. But anyway, that's kind of why I think that, you know, Battlegrounds ought to be fucking, you know, relegated to their seasons and just leave them there when their seasons are done. I mean, that would totally push the FOMO. That really would. Says, oh, you like this battleground? You feel you get some really good loot out of this battleground? Well, guess what? It's going away. Get all your shit done now, or you won't ever have to play it again. And then maybe, you know, maybe have like I can't do anything about it right now. So like in the destination, so like, you know, you have like these little peripheral shit like over here. Maybe have like a special playlist over here, like, you know, past battlegrounds. You know, like you can choose to do a legendary lost sector when you walk into it. You can choose to do seasonal battlegrounds. Make them aspirational content. I think that'd be kind of fun. But don't put them in the Vanguard Operation playlist. Keep it to the planetary stuff because that's what we're used to. That's what we want. I mean, personally, I don't think I've come across a single player who gushes about the battlegrounds and thinks that they are the fucking shit and they would wish they could play them all fucking year long. I personally, once it's done, I'd like to not see that motherfucker ever fucking again. But that's me. What's your opinion? Why don't you fight me in the comments over it? In the meantime, I hope you have something enjoyable to do with your time, and I thank you for stopping by.